You're watching Detroit on Deck. Here are your hosts, Dave Cesefske and Josh Clark.
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Detroit on Deck. Dave Cesefske, Josh Clark. It's a beautiful Monday. Josh, it's Veterans Day today, so first off, we want to salute all of the veterans out there. I know we have some veterans that are close to us. I have some friends. I know your brother. But a lot of people out there doing these jobs that allow us to have this fun that we're doing right here. I mean, literally just hats off to them. And thank you so much to everybody that's made this a wonderful country. Josh?
Yeah, no, I definitely second those words.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, Clarky, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. Long day at work for sure.
Hey, any day we get to talk some sports afterwards, though, is a good day. So let's get right into it, man. Look, kind of a big game yesterday, and Clark, I want to read something before we get into all of this, okay? And I just want to get, I want to get your reaction to this, okay? So here's something that happened. Well, I mean, it's been a couple years now since this was read. All right. So here's what I do know. This is Dan Campbell. This team's going to take on the identity of the city, and this city has been down, and it found a way to get up. It found a way to overcome adversity, right? So this team's going to be built on, we're going to kick you in the teeth, right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. When you knock us down, we're going to get up. On the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up, and it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Now, I get chills reading that now because people laughed at him. They laughed at him, and they said, this guy ain't going to work. Josh Clark, that team is built on grit because there is no way in heck, no reason why that team should have won yesterday.
Yeah, no, 100%. And what you just read is this, introductory press conference. Like that game yesterday is literally the perfect example of that press conference.
I mean, Clarky, let's go into this because you and I both know this is a special team. I mean, they are a special team. In my opinion, I think you're with me there, Clarky. Especially with Za'Darius coming in, they're Super Bowl bound. Yeah, there's things they got to clean up, but like this is a team that is overcoming some things. Okay, let's talk about, before we get into all this, because I know I'm pumped up and I don't want to skip too many things. We do need to talk about our studs and duds of the week, okay? Let's start with our duds. Let's get that out of the way, okay? Because a dud for me is just somebody that obviously doesn't show up. It doesn't mean we don't think anything highly of them or anything like that, but it's a dud. It's somebody that doesn't show up, okay? So I want to know who your dud of the week, of this past week is, Clarky.
My dud of the week is the offensive line of the Lions.
Okay.
They looked absolutely atrocious in that first half. I mean, I haven't seen them get pushed around like that in probably 2.5 years. Since like this group has kind of been together, and like they were just completely embarrassed in that first half last night. Like, sure, they cleaned it up, obviously didn't give up a single point, defensively, in the second half, and they looked a lot better, obviously, with the comeback. But yeah, like that offensive line put them in a really, really bad hole. I mean, a lot of those golf picks in the first half can be, in my opinion, attributed to that poor offensive line play.
So, okay, you say that's your dud. For me, my dud is somebody I love, but you got to call a spade a spade. Jared Goff's first half was absolutely atrocious. Now, offensive line play, Dan Skipper specifically, was absolutely atrocious. I'll give you that. Dan Skipper played left tackle, first time of his career. Yeah. I never want to see it again. It was absolutely terrible. He was getting dominated by Danielle Hunter, okay? If you put Danielle Hunter next to Dan Skipper, you're going to be like, okay, one of these guys is a dad and the other one lifts every day, right? Like, right. I'm sorry. Love Dan Skipper. Love you. But that was bad. That was really bad. And with Decker out, it really showed why he's so important because He's had a rough couple weeks, but Decker is one of those pieces that you plug in, you play him, you don't have to worry about him really. Penei Sewell was dominant. He was dominant, and at times of that second half, I think you could turn that dud into a stud because Penei Sewell in the second half, they did. This is what I loved about the Lions, and we'll get into our studs. Listen, my dud is Jared Goff, and it's that first half. It was bad. 5 picks. Say what you want. Say Ben Johnson shouldn't have been calling all those play calls. They should have went to the run, when they could have. Goff pushing it downfield when he shouldn't have. Whatever you want to say. For that first half, he was a dud. Now, I'm with Jared Goff. Love him because he fits this offense perfectly. But you know what he fits? He fits a team that lets him manage the game and then make big plays when he has to and when he can, right? But when he has to throw the ball 40, 50 times, it is Jared Goff of last year or the year before where you're going to get a lot of turnovers. I'm not saying he did a lot of turnovers last year, but when he had to throw, when he had to be in a shootout of a game, that is not his best. So that's why I say he's my dud. Now, I want to give you my stud right now, okay? Because my stud is Aaron Glenn, and it is because the way that he adjusted. Say what you want. They actually kept the team in the game, but in the second half to hold C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell and Schultz and those guys, I mean, honestly, Mechie looked good in the first half, right? I was like, man, he's coming really alive, good. Right? And that's a guy that beat cancer. He's finally coming back, and he is not just a dude. He's a good player, okay? And what scares me, Josh, and I don't even want to think about it, but if Nico and if you got freaking, my boy, Stephon Diggs out, dude, that scares me. And then you got Pierce, who wasn't playing. They shut Joe Mixon down, and I love that. But listen, in the second half, you had this team really, they had the Texans on the ropes, man. Like, even when Goff threw a pick, I love Carlton Davis, man, because he told them guys, he's like, listen, I'm picking that route. He made him feel like that receiver was wide open. He gets over, makes that pick, makes another pick. That's a big-time player, and that's a big-time pickup for this team. So he is really – we're starting to see the fruits of him being on this team, right? And I will tell you, and I'm not going to pick on the young guy too much, but Terry and Arnold has got to get better because if not, they're going to keep throwing to him. Because I'll tell you, that's a PI. That was a PI at the end of that game. He was all over that receiver before the ball got there. Now, things can go, you know what I'm saying? So just a little bit back and forth, but for the most part, absolutely loved what I saw out of that defense. Clark, that's without a top defensive end. If when we get Za'Darius out there, Aleem McNeil is dominant, dude.
Oh, yeah. Dude, he won every matchup last night.
He was incredible. And was it Trevor Nowatzki? Is that his name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, he played decent.
Yeah,
like
he was. He's played really well. I mean,
yeah,
in the time that he's gotten on the field the last few games. I mean, but that's my point though as well though. Like you give people reps, you know what I mean, who are only used to practice reps and things like that. You never know what they're gonna do in a game. You know what I mean? Because they've never been out there, and this kid is just showing out time and time again. So I would like to see him continue to get those reps.
Me too, man. Who's your stud?
Personally, my stud of the week, it's Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Like he didn't do much, but he came up big when the Lions needed him. Like in the second half specifically, the first half the run game wasn't working at all.
No.
The second half he broke off 3-4 runs of 12, 15, 20 yards, like just right up the sideline. Like just in big moments when they needed to extend drives. Like it was Jahmyr Gibbs and not Monty. And that's kind of been my point. That's kind of been my point to you.
Monty scored a touchdown. So
well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying though. Normally it's Monty who out carries Gibbs. Last night it was 19 carries for Gibbs, 12 for Monty.
But
you know what I mean.
Here's my thing though with that, Clark. Though I mean, like game script should be different from game to game. Like if Monty's eating up yards, go to him. He's hot. But then switch it up with Gibbs in the pass game, and then let him run between the tackles because we have seen he can run between the tackles. Jahmyr Gibbs could be a top 5 back.
He already is.
Right. Well, I'm just saying in terms of numbers wise, right?
No,
he's
yeah,
not
100%.
right now because they're splitting.
No,
But
yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I'll go on record saying I don't care. Jahmyr Gibbs is the most electric player in the NFL.
yeah, he's incredible. I mean,
Like I don't care about your
CMC has
just
started
I don't
to wind
yeah
down.
I don't care about your CMCs, your Justin Jeffersons, your Jamar Chases.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs is the most electric player in
Well,
the NFL.
Jamar Chase had a hell of a game the other day, but listen, that's neither here nor there. We don't care about them. We talk Lions here, but I want to ask you a question, okay? Because what do you feel if I'm Detroit? I think it is a sign of the times in Detroit where it is coaching that doesn't just say, "Hey, this is what I do. I'm sticking to it." Our team adjusts. And
Yep.
that was a perfect example of it, offensively and defensively. Because listen, Ben was like, "All right, I've tried the play action. It's not been working. Clearly, we haven't been able to run the ball, but we're going to keep running and we're going to run on the side of Panay." And they did, and that opened up those Gibbs runs. And then who was open? Laporta. You got
Yep.
some long throws to him. And then at the end of the game, as they're getting those chunk yardage, who was open? St. Brown.
Yep.
And J-Mo was absolutely electric.
Yeah, he had a nice couple of grabs to
And
keep
he
drives-
got
to keep
lit
drives
up.
alive. Oh yeah, and a couple of them.
Right. He's really, really taking a next step. I hate that the NFL wants to hate on him, and so does media. But that dude was back, and we missed him, and it is good to see. And it is so nice to get our tight end involved in the game again, man. It is so nice.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, St. Brown should get the Lions share of the target, but I mean, you have to give the ball to J-Mo. You have to give the ball to Laporta. You have to give the ball to Gibbs. Even Khalif Raymond. You got to keep these defenses guessing. That's when the Lions are at their best, when they're spreading it around.
Agreed.
What hurts me, what kind of killed them last night, in my opinion, only 5 guys on the team had catches last night. That's not a Lions typical recipe for success.
Well, it wasn't. Listen, the thing is about this team, these are some of the things that were happening. So we were outscored in the first half, 23-7, right? Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions in the game. We lost the time of possession. We were playing a first-place team on the road, and yet we get the win. It is a beautiful thing when you can overcome all that. Now, I'm going to say this, man. I could have went stud Jake Bates, because Jake Bates –
oh, yeah, that leg, dude.
I tell you what, and he's so humble, man. He was talking about, I just want to, I want to be a light for Jesus. Like, I'm like, dude, love it. I love it when guys are real like that, because this guy was selling like bricks or something like last year. Like,
in Houston, of all places, too.
Yeah,
so
of
that had to
course.
feel real good.
Dude, it was absolutely awesome. And you know what? Let's just say it right now. Best safety duo in a long time right there. Long time, because you just can't go over the middle like that. You just can't.
Brian Branch, honestly, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he is this guy, but like, he's probably the hardest hitter I've seen since Brian Dawkins at that position.
You had Rodney Harrison on post game last night telling him that he reminds him of Ed Reed.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he does. He plays like that. And Kirby Joseph, he reminds me of like Eric Weddle, like the way he just goes out there and just goes at the ball, like sells out. I love it. Absolutely love it. So it is a heck of a comeback. They really played a bad game for a lot of that game, and you come out with a win, and that is a good Texans squad. Now,
that was their first loss at home on the year. They were 4-0 at home.
I will say this. Okay, what does this look like? And there's both sides. Okay, say they have Nico back, who's really playing like a top 5 receiver. He really was. Like, he was incredible. They have Nico, and say they have Diggs there, and they got that pass rush, right? They're getting Williams back and
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson's got 7.5 sacks. Okay, I hear you. Say we have Za'Darius and we got Hutch. I'm telling you, man, that is really a matchup that's like.
I mean, it's not even that though. Honestly, we're without Smith, without Hutch, without Melo.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Without Barnes, like without Davenport, like we're missing probably 4 starters at the beginning of the year.
Davenport ain't ever coming back. He's always injured, but I feel you on that. But like, here's the thing, man. We're also gonna get a cornerback back. Another one Dude played for San Francisco a couple years back. A lot of guys won't know who he is, but Mosley is getting healthy. They opened the clock. They started the clock on him, and it's been a couple years. Right, Melifonwu was a player. He is a baller. Okay, you just can't get in a position to where you're in the postseason and you have to play Kendall Vildor or something like that. I want to back up to be Melifonwu, have him come in there because he's a ball hawk. He will get picks. He makes plays. He really came on last year. He really came on. So I would love to have him healthy. You have to have depth. I mean, everybody remembers that ball going off the face mask of Vildor, and if that doesn't happen, they may win the game. And there's other things that could have happened if you have a kicker you trust, blah, 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 if Dan Camp, blah, 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 whatever. But anyways, you got the recipe for a Super Bowl here. Is it going to be a little bit more difficult without Hutch? Of course. Does Zadarius Smith come in and help? 100%. And the fact that Campbell gave him the week off, it would have been his bye week. He let him go back to Florida. They obviously had the hurricane. Check on his home and all this stuff. Like Zadarius was talking postgame. That does not go unnoticed to veterans, man. He was on that sideline. You see him coaching up those young guys. That is priceless right there. Yeah. Like, he is going to be a difference maker for this team. Not only the fact that he's a good player, but he's going to get a little bit of extra juice, I think, because he's in an organization now that's winning. Cleveland obviously is in disarray right now. Kevin Stefanski's probably going to get fired. In my opinion, they didn't go to Jameis Winston early enough. Has he made some turnovers? Yeah, he's going to do that. But that offense looked lethargic with Watson in there. And you can't just say to yourself, well, I'm going to keep playing somebody because I pay him all this money, because that's the argument with the Tigers and Javi Baez. Love him, not worth the money. Don't play him. So I don't know, man. We'll see. But I want to ask you a question here about the Lions, because coming into this game, everybody was talking, and I didn't agree with it. Listen, if you go by numbers, sure. But they were saying MVP race, Lamar Jackson's up there. Jared Goff's in the conversation. I disagree with that 100%. I love Jared Goff. He's been fantastic for this team, but he's not the most valuable player, and he's not even the most valuable player on our own team. Okay? I believe it's Jahmyr Gibbs.
Let me ask you this right quick. If you take Goff, let's say Goff gets hurt week 12, is Hendon Hooker taking us to the Super Bowl?
Well, Hendon Hooker's terrible. I mean, I wouldn't have him as a backup anyways.
But do you get my point though? Like, that's what value is. You know what I mean? We lost Hutch, we're still playing good defense. You know what I'm saying? If we lose Jahmyr Gibbs, we still got Monty. If we lose Monty, we still have Gibbs. You know what I'm saying?
So
to me, Goff is the most valuable on this Lions team. Without Goff, we're probably a subpar 500 team. We're probably a subpar 500 team.
So here's my question then. Okay. Then I don't want to have the worst take of the day here, and I can see where you're coming from, and I agree. Because if Hendon Hooker's playing, I'm not going with that. That looks atrocious, and we're picking in the top 5. But here's my question to you, because I think this is totally wrong. He's not in the MVP race even before this game, because he's not. He is the best game manager in the NFL. He makes it look good. Okay, he makes it look good. I don't believe he was in the MVP race. Also, one quick thing I do want to complain about, and I never complain about this dude, but the guy that was calling the game last night, he's a Detroit native, Mike Tirico, right?
Oh yeah,
great at what he does. However, he was saying to Collinsworth, this is a Lions offense that's struggled in the last couple of games. They're only averaging so many yards. No, Tirico, no, we weren't on the field versus Tennessee. We weren't on the field.
Right.
Jared Goff had 3 touchdown passes, so know the script.
Yeah, they literally were in plus territory, starting on their own 30.
Yeah, Khalif Raymond was our offense.
Yeah.
So that was really unlike him, But I was like, that's the lazy thing, man. If you look at numbers lie sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And that was one of those numbers that lied. But Josh, he's not an MVP candidate. I think that is where it was like, okay, this is where numbers are lying again. He's not an MVP candidate. I don't see that at all. Lamar Jackson's having an incredible year. he's terrible in the postseason, and I don't until he changes it. I don't trust him in the postseason. Mahomes has played better, but he's having a bad year. In the last couple weeks, he's been great. But when you think about, okay, who are the other guys that are out there? Who is out there that is in the MVP race, in your opinion?
In my opinion, personally,
Yeah.
I do believe Jared Goff was top 5 MVP before that game last night. I think he played himself out of the MVP now after that terrible game.
And see
but
that
I do believe that he was. But for me now, it's down to 3 people, in my opinion. It's Lamar, it's Josh Allen, and I'm personally going to throw Derrick Henry in there.
Oh, my gosh.
This dude has 1,100 yards and I believe 11 or 12 touchdowns. Like, he has been such a huge difference maker for that Baltimore Ravens.
I actually think he's got more. I think he's got 15 touchdowns.
It's crazy. It's double digits for sure. I think it's 11 or 12, honestly, like 1,100 yards, which is insane. He's on pace for like 1,900 yards and 20 touchdowns.
We gotta check that because I thought I saw the other day that he's got 14 right now.
14 touchdowns opening.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
We're halfway through the season.
So he's averaging literally like 1.3 touchdowns a game.
Like, he could potentially end the year with 30 touchdowns as a running back. Yeah. That's like years like Marshall Faulk.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Right. Faulk did it too, right? I know that's got to hurt that he left the Colts like that, right? You being a Colts fan?
Don't remind me.
I thought about that. I was like, oh, man, there's been some really good years as Colts fan. You've been spoiled, but then you've had some real lean years with Sorgi and
James Mungro.
I mean, maybe the guy that's there now. I don't know.
A-Rich?
Just saying. I don't know, man. It ain't Flacco. I'll tell you that because he ain't the answer. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into a little bit of a switch here, okay? Let's talk about MLB voting races and your thoughts on that because, listen, there's been some updates. And they're being announced literally on MLB right now. But let's go through some of these, and I want to get your opinion, okay? Let's start with most valuable player. To me, it is absolutely done deal because, Josh, MVP's races do not continue in the postseason. Right. So with that being a regular season award, even with a sour taste in your mouth, Aaron Judge is the MVP over Juan Soto and Bobby Witt Jr., in my opinion. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if anything, I think Bobby Witt finishes second, or at least he should.
Oh, I agree. Now Soto is a bad man.
I mean,
right?
I get it, but where were the Yankees last year without Soto in the postseason? The Royals haven't sniffed the playoffs in 7 years without Witt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they were a good team. They became a great team, though, with Soto.
I agree, but the point of an MVP is it's the most valuable. Bobby Witt is valuable. You lose Bobby Witt, the Royals are right back to 100 losses.
Yeah, right. It's like if you take, I don't know, David Montgomery off the Lions, they're still great, right? But they're not as lethal. But yeah, I'm with you. AL Cy Young Award, a finalist. In my opinion, this is kind of a two-man race, but the third one, Seth Lugo, doesn't belong on there, in my opinion.
No,
but
I agree.
Emmanuel Clase, you're a closer. Sorry, you can win the Rolaids Relief Award. Tarek Skubal is your Cy Young, and it won't be close.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not unanimous or damn near unanimous, I'd be shocked.
No, it has to be. Let's look at the NL Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year Award. Well, actually, first off, we got to get to I see the AL announced. I don't see the NL Cy Young out there yet. I just see the AL. So let's look at
it's Chris Sale. Looks like Wheeler and Paul Skeens.
That's weird. I'm not voting for Skeens because he didn't play a full year. Was he the best pitcher? Yeah, probably. Right. Chris Sale, it's absolutely weird, but his numbers were amazing. But he was not there for his team to end the year, and it caused them to really lose out in the postseason, right?
Right.
And he let the Mets get in there. Who's the third guy?
It looks like Zach Wheeler.
Yeah,
I'm basing this literally off of a picture that I see on MLB.com. It says Cy Young finalist.
Yeah, that's weak in my opinion.
That's literally what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and that's the one. That listen, in my opinion, Sale's probably going to win that award, but he's got a lot of problems. I can't give it to Skeens yet. He's got to play. I mean, he might win like best girlfriend award for sure, but just saying. Yeah. If you don't know who Livy Dunn is, well, then you can look that up. But anyways, that's my pick. It's got to go to Sale. I mean, his numbers are dominant again. It's just he's always hurt, man. Thoughts?
Yeah. I'm honestly probably kind of leaning Wheeler in this race.
You don't even like Wheeler.
And it's funny because you're right. I really don't like
I know
Wheeler.
you don't.
But I just think the Phillies had the best overall year. I think it's kind of one of those situations. You take him off that team, I mean, they're going to be probably 10 games worse than what they were.
Yeah, probably. And they've got a dude that should have been a Cub for life, but hey, and Kyle Schwarber. Yeah. Let's look at the NL Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year award. Jackson Chourio of the Brewers, Jackson Merrill of the Padres, Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens all day, baby. I mean, in my opinion, I think Chourio had some good moments. So did Merrill. But most people out there have no idea who those two are. If we're baseball fans, we know who they are. Paul Skeens absolutely dominated.
I mean, Paul Skeens is probably, I mean, not probably, he is. He's a generational type player, but he's probably the most generational pitcher we've seen in quite some time.
Yeah.
That has come into the game of baseball. So, I mean, that's got to say something.
No, he reminds me, if I'm being honest, he reminds me of a few years back when the Nats brought up Steven Strasburg. Like he had that flame throwing fastball, and obviously Strasburg's injuries caught up to him, and that's really sad. But I hope Skeens stays healthy, and has a long career. Now I will say the AL Rookie of the Year award, that there's like three dudes that are. It's a very mid award in my opinion, because it's going to Austin Wells in my opinion. He had the best numbers, but. I'm not giving it to a reliever. And Colton Cowser had an okay year. I mean, like he wasn't. I don't know. For me, nah, I'm not even going there with that. I'll go Austin Wells.
I agree. I mean, there's not really much else to say, honestly.
Yeah.
Like you said, he had the best numbers out of all those. Colton Cowser, like you said, had a decent year, nothing too special.
Right.
And then, like you said, Luis Gil.
Yeah.
Gil, however you say it.
Yep.
I mean, he was okay. I mean, I don't think he was anything special either, but, you know, it's the Yankees, so they're going to give them luck.
Right.
I mean, let's just be for real. Like, that's what it is.
NL Manager of the Year award, in my opinion, that's got to go to Pat Murphy because, I mean, they lost Craig Counsell, who's been there for a long time, and he really came in there, calmed things down. I mean, this is a guy that was a college coach, right? He came up and he did some great things for them. I'm going there. I mean, yeah, Mendoza in New York, nobody saw them doing that, but they had some weird things come in there. Like, it was wild. They had who's their shortstop, man? Jose Iglesias come in, former Tiger, and he hit like 350, like in 80 games. It was weird. They had Pete Alonso, who did some good things for them, but
Lindor.
Yeah, Lindor was incredible. Mike Schill of the Padres, that's another guy that's benefited from a lot of stars there as well. I mean, he coached the Cardinals, so I never vote for a Cardinals manager no matter what. So Pat Murphy gets that award even though it's an NL Central.
For me, I get what you're saying, but the Brewers literally they had a great team. Like your manager is, obviously a part of that team.
They don't have stars though.
Does he make the team though? No.
Yeah.
People expected the Brewers to still be good. No one expected the Mets to be this good, even with the stars that they had.
Okay, give me two All-Stars off the Brewers.
Give me two All-Stars off of the Mets this year.
The Mets? Are you kidding me?
Who?
Pete Alonso,
this year,
absolute stud. And then who's their shortstop?
Lindor. Were they both All-Stars this year though?
They were.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, though, I mean, they've had them though for years and years and years, though. You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't do anything.
It's New York, man.
You bring in the manager and you put the right talent around certain players, you're gonna perform.
I hate the Mets, and I hate the Yankees.
I hate all three of these teams. If I'm being honest with you, but I just think what the Mets did was most impressive, just based on where they were projected to be. Come preseason rankings.
I don't think this one's. I mean, we disagree, and that's okay. And I'd rather us disagree than get everything.
Right.
It's just the way this relationship goes, and I love it, and it works that way, opposite the track, because we're a lot alike, but there are a lot of things that we see differently with this. Because I think if you take the manager away, who's been there for over a decade, who had a system, and then you still win and you make the postseason, then hey, that's something. But let's go to the one that we really care about here, the AL Manager of the Year award. You got Stephen Vogt of the Guardians, who, listen, he did a good job, but they had a great team there. We know that, right? Because Francona had built something there. Matt Quintrero, the Royals, I'll be honest with you. That dude right there had nothing. And they signed some guys, and he did a good job, but I don't even think you knew who that was before today. Was it? Did you? Matt Quintrero?
Oh, I knew who he was. I didn't realize he was the manager of the Royals, so I'm not gonna lie to you.
So, I mean, and then AJ Hinch of the Tigers. In my opinion, and that's wild. That's the listen. Let's give some love to the AL Central, right. The division that everybody gives a lot of hard time for. That was a tough division. Outside of the White Sox, they were really bad. They were really bad. Okay, and the Twins had an off year, but they were in the race, man. They were in the race. So, in my opinion, it has got to be AJ Hinch or Stephen Vogt. In my opinion, because, listen, you could go either of those teams. Obviously, the Royals flamed out against the Yankees. Guardians lost to who? The Yankees.
The Guardians lost to the Yankees, yeah.
So, and the Tigers lost to the Guardians. Now, this is a regular season award, so if that is the case, it's going to go to AJ Hinch, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to go final answer and lock that in because he won with the less of talent than, in my opinion, even, well, the Royals probably had the worst team. So maybe it's between Hinch and him. But I think the Hinch thing that he did with these openers and trying to make it work for like 80 games, like I don't understand how they even made the postseason. There was a point in the season where I was like, they're going to lose 100 games. I mean, they were on pace for that. So the fact that they were able to make that big of a comeback in the season, Hinch is my first place vote. Matt Quintrero, I'll say then, is second, and then Vogt's third. What about you?
I do agree. I do think AJ Hinch should win this award for things that you just said. But for the biggest reason, if you put any other manager in his position in that Tigers uniform in that Tigers dugout, all these like August and September call-ups with these kids, they're probably not going to win 10, 15 games the rest of the year.
No.
Like AJ Hinch just knows how to get the best out of his players, and he
Yeah.
gets the best out of what he has, and he plays to his players' strong suits. And I just think that the last, 2-3 months of the year when they were like 35 and 12 or whatever it was, like nobody saw that coming. They got the 700 win percentage. No one saw that coming, even for that short of a period of time. So just because of that, honestly, and the lack of pitching that they had up behind, Skubal, obviously, for them to even get to the postseason, to be in the race for as long as they were and then actually get to the postseason is crazy because, hitting win the regular season games, pitching wins postseason games, and after you get to the postseason, they didn't have any pitching behind Skubal. So, like, to me, like, this whole year was just, like, obviously they lost, so that's a sad note, but to me, this year was 100% an overachievement for what the Tigers put on the field, and the Tigers should be proud of what this team did, and I do expect them to kind of duplicate what they did this year, because I do expect them to, bring in some, some talent and whatnot. But you give Hinch any more talent than what he has right now, this team can be special for some years.
Let's look at this. They have 0 free agents this year. So that already is helpful. They're only going to get better. I believe they're going to get Bregman. I think they're going to bring him in. I think they'll get another bat. If they don't make a move for Torque, I personally would be shocked. But if anything, he's got to be better. So I just less. I mean, I'm just asking for just hit me 25 home runs and 80 RBIs and hit 240.
I was gonna say, give me a 260 average.
Right, that's not asking for much for a 1-1 guy. Right. We got 142. We're gonna wrap this up, but I do want to put something out there. Listen, we had over 500 people view the last podcast. I love it. Keep going. Keep telling people about the pod. We would value everybody to comment, subscribe, whatever it is. We'll do anything to get people to watch it because this is what we love, and we're going to add on more content. We're going to make sure we add on stuff on our other social media channels. That will happen because this is important to us. But Josh, it's nice to see some traction. How about you?
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. Very, very thankful for the people that have, clicked on it and even watched, 10 minutes of an episode, right. if not the whole thing. So yeah, we definitely appreciate that. Keep showing us the love, and we'll keep putting out the content.
Yeah, we'll keep wearing makeup for you guys and try to look pretty. I'm just kidding. Oh man, I love you guys, and Clarky, love you, bro. Enjoy the night and watch some Monday Night Football. All right.
Yay, terrible game, but I'm probably going to watch it.
Me too, because I'm a fool. Peace.
Right. Peace, brother.
Thanks for listening to Detroit on Deck. Be sure to like and subscribe to our page for more Detroit content.